Hi, and welcome to the Blueprints to Buildings podcast. I'm your host, Glen Palmer, and on this show, we interview the movers and shakers in the world of property development and real estate. Now, this podcast is backed by a prop tech visual tool that people in the know keep whispering about, the kind that helps developers trim weeks off concept timelines and locking buyers long before the build starts. I can't say too much here, but if you've heard the rumors, message me on LinkedIn at Glen Palmer Secure or check out the show notes below. Now, on today's episode of Blueprints to Buildings, I'm joined by Rosa Aguilar. She's the business development manager of Bluworld at Water, where she blends design, technology, and marketing, bringing architectural water features to life across a built environment. Rosa, it's great to meet you. Great to have you on the show. Welcome. And shall we dive in?
Of course. Very nice to be here with you.
Excellent. So, first question I ask everybody, if time travel became a reality and you had a chance to go back to when you first started your career, what advice would the person that you're now tell your younger self?
Oh, good question. What I would say is to always make time for art and my crafts, my hobbies that I really enjoy, and to always carve out a little bit of time for learning.
Yeah.
I really enjoy so many different things, so many different aspects of design. And sometimes I forget to take that time to just relax and create. But I really do think that when you do go back to work, you go back with fresh eyes and you can think outside of the box a little bit better when your brain is constantly creating.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Nice. And Rosa, water features aren't the first thing that people think of when they hear the words construction. So, actually, how did you find your way into this niche?
Yeah, it was really funny. So I was in school for mechanical engineering and I really wanted to get out of the service industry and I wanted to dive straight into working in my career.
Hmm.
So I started looking at jobs around downtown Orlando because I'm the type of person that I think of my environment before I go and work there. I needed to be in a city. I grew up in a very sleepy retirement town. So I wanted to be around more action, more movement. And I figured downtown Orlando was going to be the closest. So I interviewed with Bluworld of Water actually as a project manager assistant. And they said I didn't really have too much experience. So they passed on me at that time, but they called me back a couple weeks later and offered me a job as a design engineer, which
Hmm.
was even a little bit more closely aligned to what I was studying. So I started off designing the water features before I went down the route of business development.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
So basically fell into it, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Uh,
did.
and then from your experience, what do water features actually do for a space? Now that's beyond the looking nice. Is it, especially when you talk about commercial or architectural projects? What is the thing that brings water features to life, and what are the bonuses of having a water feature?
Yeah, so as a business development manager, I think you can understand I've done a lot of research on this and getting to know my product so that I can sell it properly. But through the research that I have found, water features do lower blood pressure, they lower stress. So just being around one helps for your health.
Hmm.
But I was thinking about it, and I did have a conversation with somebody at AIA about it. And we did kind of come to the conclusion that it's most likely because of the first people walking the earth. Like when they found a waterfall or when they found a stream, that meant that they found safety. And so I really truly think that just the sound of water is something that triggers something in you and makes you feel safe, makes you feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it does feel very different walking into a space that's very sterile without like a sound or something visually moving, like having that reminder of nature.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what?
Mhm.
I can attest to that because one of my favorite sounds for going to sleep is waves crashing. You know,
Yeah.
if I struggle to go to sleep, I put on some waves crashing or rainfall on a tin roof.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from there. So how early should architects or developers be thinking about water features in a project? And what problems do you see when it's left too late, sort of thing?
Mhm. We have solutions for all the different construction phases, but earlier is better because then you can account for a pump room because you don't want noisy equipment in the space that completely negates the the
Yeah,
soothing qualities of a trickle. But there are plenty of solutions where we have like plug and play type of water features. So
hmm
if they really need something in their space, they could just plug in something called a Blue Guard, which is an encapsulated water feature, and they don't have to maintain it. But it would definitely be better, and you have a huge variety of options if you do start at the design phase. So you can select the type of tile if you want something built in, if you want the water coming out of the ceiling and disappearing into the floor and you don't see anything visible, that would definitely require a lot of early planning. And we do also, like, if you want to use a new type of material, different type of material, that'll give us enough time to test it out and make sure that it's going to work
yeah.
properly. Mhm.
So on the back of that, what is the craziest water feature that you've ever installed?
That's hard. We've done a handful that are very different, but we did do one last year in Kentucky. I believe it was KC Hotel. And the client asked for something very out of the box. It was very crazy. He wanted a carousel, but made with water. And so we incorporated actual horses from a carousel. And the poles, instead of them being like solid, what we did is we did a see-through tube. And so that had bubbles, lit up bubbles inside of it, but then it also had fountains around it. It looks
Oh my
beautiful.
God.
It's really,
I
really
can
pretty.
imagine. I can
Hmm.
imagine. So, do immersive tools like, 3D walkthroughs, digital twins, visualizer, simulations, those kind of things, do they make it easier for clients to emotionally connect with design elements like water before anything is built? And do you use them?
Yes. Yes, we definitely do. Usually I'm the one that creates them too. But no, it's seen almost as like a requirement because a lot of owners don't fully understand the value and can't visualize what it's going to look like because a lot of times people will think fountain and they think a three-tiered concrete fountain with the water flowing over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But sometimes the designers can get very creative and they do want to see, can you create this vision that I have? So with the materials that we've used in the past and the different effects that we've used, we can create really nice renderings to make it as close as we can to real life.
hmm
And that's where it can get a little tricky because if you just use a software that is for fountains, it'll come out very generic looking. But given like the previous projects that we've used, we can tailor it and really make it look exactly what it's going to look like.
Brilliant. Nice.
Mhm.
And you sit across marketing, tech, operations. How are client expectations changing in the AEC space when it comes to visualization and that experience?
Yeah, it's a make or break for a lot of projects. They want to be able to see it before they purchase it because a lot of times these water features that we create are six figures or more. And
Yeah.
you do not want to spend $500,000 and then it looks very underwhelming. So they do really like to see what it's going to look like. And the ownership, we recently closed on a university project after creating about seven different iterations. They didn't know if they wanted it inside, outside, what it was going to look inside, outside, daytime, nighttime. And so they really wanted to make sure it was going to be a feature in their
Yeah.
space. Hmm.
Nice. And so I take it the visualization helped with that pre-planning stage. So you didn't have to go make something and then they turned around and says, well, no, I don't like that. I want something else.
Exactly. Yeah, the one at the university was in the design phase. So they were finalizing the design. And then we were able to work directly with the architects and say, okay, if you choose the one outside, your pump room has to go here. You have
Hmm.
to take up a little bit more space in this closet on the other side. And then the ownership was able to see, okay, we can easily move things around and have piping go here, because we were literally having conversations with them as they were laying the pipe down.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were finalizing it, and they were like, okay, we really need to settle inside, outside, where the location is going to be, because the pipe is going to go down, concrete's going to go over, and then we're set.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
did it go okay? I'm assuming it went okay.
It did. We sold it, and I think it was about $250,000, so not bad.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's it for today's show. Rosa, pleasure having you on board today and chatting with you. Enjoyed our conversation, learning more about water features, and they're not just decorative, but it actually enhances a property, brings a sense of calm to any building. As always, thanks to the listeners. And for those of you watching on YouTube, Rosa, sorry, if listeners or viewers want to get in contact with you, what is the best way to get in contact with you? How do they do that?
Yeah, the website is a perfect place. Bluworldusa.com. That's BLUWORLDUSA.com.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Well, thank you very much. That wraps up for today's episode. And if you're still wondering about that prop tech thing I mentioned at the start, good, you should be. Drop me a message and I'll show you what the early adopters are up to. Thanks for tuning in to Blueprints to Buildings. I'm your host, Glen Palmer, and today I was joined by Rosa Aguilar. See you on the next episode.